It's time for your TLC Hiking Club vid clip. And it's been nearly 3 months since I've been on here, guys, so my apologies. So bear with me if this runs a little long. I'm trying to catch up for 3 months. So hang in there, and I'll try to get through this as soon as I can. Okay, so let's recap. We always recap, go back to the last vid clip. So since then, last vid clip was August the 23rd, so the hike that we did after that was the full moon hike. If you guys remember that, we had a good showing for the full moon hike on South Mountain. Of course, we got caught in a desert sandstorm, dust storm, partial haboob, whatever you want to call it. So ended up being quite the interesting adventure. Caught in the rain, caught in the dust storm. We did get the full moon once we got back to the parking lot at the end of the hike. As you guys know, I don't cancel hikes unless there is lightning that is imminent above us. If it's a couple miles out, I don't even cancel it. I don't have time in my busy life schedule with kids, career, family, football practices, and all that stuff that's going on. So most of you understand that. Some of you still don't. Anyhow, moving on past that, the next hike that we had done was we had to go back to LA, and if you guys remember, we had got fired out on our LA trip for the bungee jump adventure. We did get to do the Hollywood sign that Friday night, and then late Friday evening, we got notified that the bungee jumping was not going to happen because the road was closed due to forest fire. So on the Labor Day weekend, we went back over, wrapped that up, and dude, what an experience. The bungee jumping, it was 6, 7, 8 of us, and it was a phenomenal trip. The bungee jumping experience, the hike in and out to the bridge to nowhere, quite a remarkable weekend, and something I know that I'll never forget my entire life. So again, moving on, trying to keep this sped up so I don't waste a lot of your guys' time. The following weekend, September the 12th, we did the Miller Carr Peak, those peaks that sit down near the Mexico border, near Sierra Vista, between Sierra Vista and Mexico, that on the Crest Trail, right around 8,000 to 9,000 feet in elevation. Beautiful hike. The wildflowers were blooming. A little bit of trail finding. The trails were a little overgrown. So it was, another phenomenal day. While it was over 100 degrees here in Phoenix, we're on top of a mountain in 70, 75 degree weather. So that was a great weekend. Thanks to all those who came out to do that hike. Moving on, the following weekend, we had our annual TLC party, which we had at our home, my wife and I's home here in Ahwatukee. Great showing. Thanks to everybody that came out and had a good time. The reason that we've done that is that it starts to become a little too much inundation of activities over the holiday period, and trying to jam all that in, your family stuff, your work stuff, and then if you have a spouse and they got their work stuff, so it just ends up trying to squeeze too many items in that holiday period. So that's why I bumped it up for the annual party during the summer, make it a pool party-ish, if you will. I'm not sure if we'll do that next year. I'm open to ideas, by the way, if you guys want to share some ideas for an annual party next year. I'm all ears. Send me your ideas. Anyhow, moving on. Let's see, where did we go from here? That puts us into October, and that would be the Prescott trip up at Metals Lodge, Pete's Lodge. Pete was nice enough guest to invite us up to his lodge. And a couple of those hikes are, literally right off his back porch. So we ended up bagging, I think it was 4 peaks total that weekend, 3 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. So we spent the weekend at his lodge, a great time. Thanks, Pete, for being a good host. If you have not stayed up at Pete's Lodge, the Metal Lodge, MG Lodge, yet my suggestion is to do so. Pete is a great host. It's a beautiful area, much cooler temps, and take advantage of that. Peter Metal, one of the organizers in the club, so take advantage of that and reach out to him if you'd like to explore Mount Union, Mount Davis, Triddle, Spruce Mountain, and he'll take you on a nice hike, and you'll have the luxury of staying at his lodge for free doing so. Anyhow, moving on. The following weekend, we had busted out East End Peak, which is the true summit of the McDowell Mountain Range. It was kind of a private hike because it's a off-limits area. So we didn't want to broadcast that too much. So boom, we bagged the McDowell Mountains True Summit, which is called East End Peak. It's not Thompson Peak. It's not McDowell Peak. It is called East End Peak, and it's the true summit by maybe 25 feet higher than Thompson Peak. That takes us into November, where we are currently at. And last weekend, we did the Mound Mountain Weekend. Phenomenal weekend, and here's why we did that, if you guys were wondering, is that Mound Mountain that sits at 6,266 feet in elevation in the Superstition Wilderness Range is the true summit of the Superstitions. So there were only 6 of us that went. I thought that we would have more of a showing just because a couple reasons, right? A lot of people rave about the Superstition Mountains. You call it their home for hiking and all that. And so Mound Mountain's a very difficult place to get to. It's very intimidating. Something that I wouldn't do on my own. I'll tell you that right now. So putting the infrastructure together to get there itself was a huge task, because you have to hike into Revis Ranch, use that as your base camp, which itself is a phenomenal, remarkable place to be, down in those apple orchard groves with the leaves changing colors, and beautiful place in the Superstition Mountains. From there, we base camped at Revis Ranch. Then we went to Circle Stone, which itself has a phenomenal story. A lot of mystery behind Circle Stone. Google it if you want to learn more about it. Phenomenal story just behind Circle Stone. So you leave Revis Ranch to go to Circle Stone, and then Circle Stone is no trail, completely off trail to get to Mound Mountain. And to put it in perspective, there's maybe 3 to 4 people each year that make it to this summit. So it is not a well-traveled mountain. But again, if you guys know me, I'm on a journey to hit a lot of summits in the coming years, trying to get my credentials for Arizona for a couple different clubs, if you will. Mound Mountain is not on any of those lists, but I look at the Superstitions and being a true summit bagger. Look, I bag summits. It's not just a fancy name. I actually put my mouth where my feet are, right? And I don't, maybe that didn't sound so well. I think you understand what I'm trying to say, though, right? So I was like, look, dude, the Superstitions. I'm bagging the summit of the Superstitions, dude. It's right there. I mean, why? Anyhow. So that was a phenomenal weekend, 3 days, 2 nights, great people camping out. I'm not a big backpacker or camper, and you guys know that if you know me. But there was no other way to get this one underneath your belt unless you wanted to hike several hours at night, which brings another part of danger to it. And I just wasn't willing to go in that direction and put 30-some miles on the feet and hike, 6-7 hours at night. I just wasn't willing to do that. Moving on. Again, sorry, you guys. I know this was going to be long. Hang in there. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to bring it home. So the next hike that we're doing next weekend, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is Devil's Chasm. Dude, you need to check this out. This is the most well-preserved Native American ruins, Indian ruins in Arizona and disputably the entire southwest of the United States. A lot of people claim this is the most well-preserved Indian ruins in southwestern U.S., period. And part of the reason is because of this. It's only a 5-mile round trip, right? So it's 2.5 miles each way, but it's 2,700 feet in elevation gain in 2.5 miles. So you're going to get your ass worked. It's going to be a great workout. It's not going to take all day. So that, we may have a different crowd that comes out for that, and that's okay. But by all means, don't think that this is an easy hike because it's only 5 miles. It's going to be a grind. But the payoff, the reward will be phenomenal. Moving on after that, what December brings to us is Apache Peak, which is the summit of the Whetstone Mountains, which is also one of the summits of the Arizona Great Peaks list, which there's 40 peaks on the Great Peaks list. And as you guys know, I'm trying to knock off that entire list. Followed by 2 weeks after that is Promontory Butte and Myrtle Point up on the Mogollon Rim, which are the high pointers for that county. Gila County, I think it is. Anyhow. Can't remember, but that's it for the hikes, folks. We've got a lot of new blood that's been coming out on the trails lately. That's phenomenal. Applaud you. We welcome some others, with our same mindset into the club. And keep in mind the direction that we're headed is, and been headed for quite some time. Please keep this in mind: is we want to see the entire state of Arizona. We're not just going to be focused on inner city hikes or hikes that are 45 minutes away. Look, Arizona is a phenomenal, diverse, beautiful state. And you're doing yourself an injustice if you call yourself a hiker and you don't want to travel to the outer areas of Arizona and see the incredible beauty that this state has to offer, such as the Blue Ridge Primitive Area out near the New Mexico border. Sure, is it a pain in the rear end to travel 4.5, 5 hours out there each way? It is. But, folks, this is Arizona. This is your home state. This is where you reside. Do yourself a favor and embrace that. This state is amazing. The beauty that this has and the diversity, take advantage of that. So that's what I have been doing and plan to even take to the next level, is that the remoteness of the hikes that I'm going to be doing and the how long it takes to get there, right? But I'm still going to be in the middle of Arizona, in the middle of beauty. So come along, join in. But think outside the box, right? Life happens outside the box, in the unknown territory that you've never traveled before. That's where life really happens, folks. So I implore you to break outside of the mundaneness of the inner city hikes and the places that you know all too well, and feel all too complacent. Break outside that box, folks. There's a whole state waiting for you, of a huge diversity of climate regions in this state. The Blue Ridge Primitive Area is the last federally designated primitive area in the United States. And guess what? It's here in Arizona. And I have yet to meet any hiker. I know there have been there, but I have yet to meet any hiker that's been out there. Guess what? 2016, I'm bagging 6 peaks out there in the Blue Ridge area. So I implore you folks, is rather than staying in 120 degrees or doing Humphreys Peak again in Flagstaff, again, break out of the mundane. Live life. Life happens outside the box, folks. With that said, make it a productive day, productive week, great weekend. Peace out, my fellow friends.
We'll see ya.